Hi, my name is Chris Kimmel. I am the Rusty Caveman. Today's video is going to cover, it's a network video. So today's video we're going to cover how I brought in two different ISPs, cellular and Starlink, how I tied them together in my network, how I'm using them. Teaser alert, I have the cellular as a backup to Starlink. And how I'm using them and how I have the system set up. I've added some more components, and we're going to talk about those components a little bit. Again, if you have questions, please ask. I will answer them to the best of my ability, and if I can't answer them, I will refer you to a video that may answer your question for you. Most likely, it'll be on Jay Christina's channel because he's the resource that I use for a lot of this stuff. And that's it. So, on with the video. Okay, this is the setup. We have the Verizon Cellular. It's the 4G gateway. We have the Starlink router, which actually doesn't do anything. Anyway, both of those are connected to the ER-7206, which is the VPN router. I got it because it can handle multiple WAN ports. So both ISPs are plugged into this unit. Comes out of this unit, goes down to the new router, which is also a TP-Link. I'll get the model for it in the description. Anyway, we do have a hard drive plugged into it for just network file storage. From out of the router, it comes up and goes to the controller right here. All right, and the controller is connected to the switch, unmanaged switch, and then from here it goes out to the mesh. Well, you've seen the video of the actual in the old days we call it a rack, now it's just a bunch of shelves. Anyway, let's see what it looks like from the other side. Here's the Verizon ISP. Basic information, just have the network map. Right now, the only thing it shows attached via Ethernet is one device, and that one device is the accumulator. Wi-Fi is also attached to one device, and that is my work laptop. I have the work laptop completely dedicated to the cellular line, unless I have to switch over because of some issue. So let's take a look at the accumulator. Now I have the IP address and those things that actually come in kind of masked, so we don't have to worry about it. But basically it shows that I've got two WAN. I got a WAN and a WAN LAN 1. The LAN WAN 1 is currently set up for the Starlink, and the other one is set up, the WAN is set up for the cellular, I think. So let's go over here to transmission. We're going to take a look at load balancing. So basic settings, I have load balancing set up, that's about it. Link backup, and that's where it's more important. I have the backup WAN is WAN. Okay, so the backup WAN, yeah, that's right. Backup WAN for my home network is cellular. That's Verizon. Primary WAN is the WAN LAN 1, and that is the Starlink connection. And basically, this is it. This is all I'm using this thing for, is just to bring the two WANs together and to tie them in. I would like to be able to balance them so that I get a little bit more out of both of them, but the problem is there's no way to set a limit on how much you use the cellular. I have a 300 gig limit on my cellular, and if it goes over, it gets kind of expensive. So that's why I have it set up as a backup. Now, I have actually unplugged the Starlink from the back of this unit, and voila, magically it switched directly over to cellular. There was no hiccup, no issues, no nothing. Plugged it back in, and it did reset itself back to using the primary WAN. And that's really it. I mean, everything else I have here at the moment is pretty much generic. As default, I haven't had time to really sit down and tune in my firewall and do some port forwarding. I enjoy Quake 3, and I would really like to get a Quake 3 server back up and running, which will be a port forward situation. And I kind of miss playing with some of the guys in Michigan. Anyway, that's it. That's really it. That's all I'm using the accumulator for. It's an ER7206 from TP-Link. So far, it appears to be a pretty solid unit. I haven't had any problems with it. So, good with that. Now, out of that, it goes into my router. So here's my router. Here's my internal IP address. It's internal. It can change. Not worried about it. Not worried about showing you. Now I'll go to the network map here, and I should see all the clients. So all the clients, whether they're connected via the mesh or not, all show up in the router. Now I will tell you, when I dropped the new router in here, I basically had to rebuild the entire network again, and that was quite the chore. I had to unplug the access points, bring them back in here, plug them in at the router, do a forced reset, and reset up all the static IPs and everything like that. It's a bit of a pain, but it wasn't that bad. The whole thing took me about 4 hours. A lot of it was trying to figure out what's wrong. And that's pretty much it. We got standard wireless set up, advanced, nothing real happy and nothing real strange in there at all. I would like to be able, I wish I could tie this this router into, and the controller for that matter, into my, or the accumulator into my controller. That would be really nice, but I'm not finding a way to do it. So right now they're all separate screens. Let's take this over to the controller. All right, this is really for the mesh network where all the magic happens. It's all controlled by this little controller, and it's actually one of the smallest boxes I have over there. Now this is I think it's an OC200. It's nothing real fancy. I do have a connector to the cloud, so I can check on it from my phone anywhere I need to, including while I'm sitting dinner and watching my cameras drop off. I can find, look at my network and find out why. But anyway, we have 4 devices. Those 4 devices are the access points. I've got them labeled as cabin AP. It's the one that's actually on my cabin. Carport AP. That's one of the carport. And as you can tell, it's one of the big ones. A lot of traffic goes across there. The kitchen AP, I'm not sure why it's showing more traffic, but I know it goes to the warehouse directly. The warehouse access point can actually reach all of them. So I know that occasionally when whatever magic interference happens, they do what they're supposed to do, and they automatically switch to another connection. And they do. Warehouse is the primary access point. It's actually mounted on the other side of that, on the outside by the rack itself, or the shelves themselves. And then everything kind of branches out from there. So all of them have an uplink to the warehouse. As I've mentioned in my previous video when I was setting up the mesh, the kitchen AP also has a switch on it, and that switch is used from the main house. So whatever Dad needs to plug in at the main house, it's available. Um, at the moment, it's just sitting there. Occasionally, he plugs in his laptop, but for the most part, everything is done Wi-Fi. Eventually, I will have to put another Wi-Fi inside the house to improve the signal inside, and I'll plug that as a bridge to the switch that's in there. So it just ties everything back together. And that's really all there is to it. So we got the two ISPs plugged into the accumulator, which is a multi-WAN router, is all it is. It can take up to 3 WANs, and it's got 5 ports, 3 of which could be WAN, 1 of which or 2 of which could be are dedicated LAN. 2 of the WAN ports are WAN or LAN, depending on how you want to set them up in the system. Anyway, out of that we go down to the router. So the router takes the input from that, and then from there it goes up to well, we covered all that in the other video, but anyway, from there it goes up into the switch, out of the switch, into the controller, out of the controller, or out of the router, into the controller, out of the controller to the switch, from the switch to the first AP, and then it bounces out from there. So that's it. That's all there is to this system. People trying to make this stuff complicated, other than just putting it together, it's really not that difficult. I've got a tech background, so you can say that it's easier for me, but it's been 20 some odd years since I've had to deal with actual networking components, so it was a little bit of a learning curve no matter what. And in all actuality, with the APs, once you get them set up, you can plug them in. As soon as you plug them into the network, especially if they're fresh, as soon as you plug them into the network, they show up over here as I think it's available or something like that. Anyway, it shows up here. You can click on it and adopt it. And once you adopt it, then you can provision it, which is setting all the settings. And then when you close it or save it, basically it goes through the process of connecting, provisioning itself and connecting, and then it's online. That's really all there is to it. I originally had these set up as DHCP, or as a static IP address. I didn't find any benefit or reason to do that, so I went ahead and kicked them all back over to DHCP because it was easy. Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you got questions, please drop a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer, and I'll explain everything to the best of my ability. There's a couple channels that I watch where setting up a mesh network would be ideal for them. They've got their own challenges, and I'd be more than happy to help them get that done. A resource that I use is Jay Christina. He's a YouTube content creator. He does a lot of Starlink. He does a lot of photo. He does a lot of graphics. That type of channel. That type of content on his channel. So he's one of the people that I really use quite a bit as a resource as I'm trying to refresh myself on how to use some of this stuff. I strongly recommend going to his channel and just familiarizing yourself with what you intend to do. I have varied from his setup a couple of different ways just to make it fit what I needed a little bit better, but it's not that difficult, and his explanation is probably much better than mine. That's just the way it is. So it's Jay Christina is the channel name. Go check him out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, this is Buster Caveman. That's how we're using the network. Now, we've got other services we have set up here. For example, I've got some IP-based cameras placed in various locations. And I'll be adding some more just as soon as I can afford it. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Really trying to grow my channel this year. That's the primary focus. And again, I love answering questions, so put a comment down there. I answer it. You got a question, I'll respond to it. And if you're trying to do this on your own, I'll try to help you in any way I can. But anyway, I guess that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. You all have a lovely evening. I'll talk to you later.